Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today. We'll wait a few more seconds before we start. Okay, hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar today. Today's topic is about one of the biggest dilemmas in our industry today, specifically regarding video streaming, is whether to work with the public cloud, those global CDNs that are providing us with a global SaaS public infrastructure, or we build our own private CDN. Now, there are a lot of consideration on this topic. We try to cover them in today's webinar. Just to put a few things into perspective and sharing some updated data about what's happening in video streaming and online video these days. So last year, 2018, was the first year that online media time spent actually surpassed traditional TV. As you can see on this pie chart, online media, we spend about 38% of our time with online media on various platforms. TV 37%, and the rest is print and radio, around 25%. And we are spending staggering of 9.73 hours every day, interacting with our devices, whether they are PC, smart TVs, mobile phones. It's really an amazing time spent on online media. This is a slight increase over the last year, 2017, part of 2018. We are reaching a stagnation in the amount of time spent with new media, and it's somehow sustained at about 9.5 to 10 hours every day that we actually use our platforms, devices, and consume online media through the IP connected devices. According to marketing charts, this gives us an overview of what engineers and CTOs and marketing experts that are dealing with video, when they think video quality will meet or exceed traditional TV quality. Now, this slide is 1 year back, April 2018. And we can see that at that time, 35% of users confirmed that online video quality already meets traditional TV. If we add that 20% that says that within 6 months it will happen, and more than 50% of respondents confirmed that online video performance is similar to what we expect or what we have on traditional TV over cable or satellite networks. And obviously, there is no question that along the road, the online video performance in terms of video experience and quality, higher resolution and bitrate, higher response time from the networks, this will meet and exceed even the traditional TV experiences. We know that most of the DTH in the world are actually stopping to renew their agreement with the satellite operators because they are migrating most of their traffic into the internet. And this is happening worldwide by the largest direct broadcast satellite company around the world. Now, some logistics. If you have any question, please, you can write on the Q&A box. We will be happy to answer those questions and respond quickly online here at the webinar. We're going to have few polls during this event as well. So please, we will love your feedback on everything here. Just to give some feedback, some knowledge about the production span in 2018. Obviously, this is growing more and more with all the fierce competition that is coming on. So NBC Universal is still leading the pack with close to $12 billion of production span in 2018, following by Walt Disney. Walt Disney are going to launch Disney Plus this year, which is a service that is going to compete obviously with Netflix, Amazon, and many others OTT player out there. You can see the full list together with Time Warner. Obviously, a majority of US content producers are leading this group. Those green columns that you see here are the internet companies, right? Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, Apple, and Facebook, right? So Apple and Facebook, each and one spend about $1 billion. Obviously, Netflix close to 8. There are some things that this number will grow to above 10. Final numbers are not available as of yet, but this is a general the general statistics in terms of production spend in 2018, and we can definitely substantial growth as well from 2019, which will eventually show that we will have too many choices of streaming options, and we are moving again to the cable bundles era, but now it's over our IP connected devices, and we will have combination of or a group of OTT packages that are very specific to their own content, and we will need to register and subscribe to each and every one of them. About the video overall total available market, it's growing quite linearly. It's about 5% CAGR. It's going to reach into 2022 a market of around $2.2 billion. This is just the video CDN market provided by the global CDN providers and also the private CDN providers. Obviously, some of the industry is using cloud CDN as a SaaS model, and some, mostly the telcos, are building their own platforms, and that's obviously will be available throughout the future as well. Few trends that we foresee in the future. They're going to be continuation in declining prices per gigabyte, right? Prices are declining quite rapidly at around 25–30% every year. The price per gigabyte on a SaaS model, increasing amount of overall video delivered throughout across the board. I mean, there is more content, there are more consumers, more devices, bit rates are going up, and the amount of throughput is definitely going up, specifically for video. And in parallel, we see an improvement in video compression efficiency, which creates some more efficient methodologies and methods of delivering and streaming video, reducing the bit rates, and able to maintain the same quality at a lower bit rate, and which is overall a benefit for the entire industry, because bandwidths can go down, but still amount of video consumed is higher than the compression efficiency. This is why we see the growth of throughput, and then we see the growth of the total available market, although the price per gigabyte is declining substantially. And this is true for SaaS CDN. Some of the 2019 video trends, definitely the use of live video for streaming, is getting a lot of momentum, and this is one of the most growing segment in terms of online streaming, video streaming, the use of live to help monetization, both for professional productions, sports and news, but also for marketing and shopping. So the use of video to sell more. Most respondents on any survey said that they are more happy to buy after they saw a video rather than a blog post, a written blog post. So we see video marketing as a major trend in the industry, not just for advertising VOD clips, but also for live streaming and help throughout the shopping experience. Number 3 is the big screen. So definitely between 2016 and 2017, there was a 50% growth in terms of the number of streams that are going to the smart TVs, right? The big screen. And the big screen requires higher bitrate, require higher resolutions, and they are definitely here to stay. And the adoption of big screen is definitely growing. Low latency is another important trend. And the low latency is all about maintaining a very low latency from the real time of the event, meaning the time it takes from the output of the transcoding to the actual viewing on the consumer side. And low latency is very important, specifically for linear channels and definitely for live events and news, sports event. VR and 360, obviously very important. Again, on the VR scenario, bit rates are going up. We have the 4 angles of the 360, the stitching technologies, but the overall throughput for any VR channel or a VR clip is substantially higher. The uses of influencers to help through video, to help brands through video, and all the issues of vlogs that are happening not only on YouTube, but other platforms that are available out there. So 4K is already mainstream. And now we started to see the beginning of 8K. Right, the Toshiba, the latest QLED is already 8K enabled, and we will definitely see on the network side and the CDN side and OTT players some initial steps toward that resolution. One-on-one video, mainly used for enterprise use cases like support, customer support, or shopping experience. And just to take one example of Taobao in China, which is an e-commerce site that is using video extensively in a dedicated app for shopping streaming. So the influencer, the creator, can go live and explain and recommend specific products. There are a lot of chats and help models, e-commerce overlay that goes up when you click on it, and a full purchasing process through digital wallets or other means. This is all the experience that you get on a dedicated application, right? The live streaming side, the purchasing page, and the actual clearance and invoicing that is available on the same application and experience. Now, maybe this is a time to launch our first poll. So I would like to have your feedback. What do you think is the hottest video trends out there? Okay, we'll wait another minute. Okay, so this is very interesting. The answers are spread all over those trends. But the number one winner is video is going live, obviously. Second place is about marketing, big screens, VR 360. So definitely winner is the live, video is going live. So really thank you for this poll. Great. So let's discuss about the evolution of CDNs, right? CDNs are available with us for probably 20 years now, and they've started as first generation, right? Static CDN, 1997, about 4 years. Usually managing the static HTML, downloadable files, if you remember that era. The origin pushed the content to the edge. It was very, very expensive CDN, mostly used by big corporates or big organization, nothing that relates to video or anything, just downloading big files. This is how the CDN industry started. Second generation, we call it dynamic CDN, started in 2001, lasted for about 10 years. This is the first time that dynamic content and rich media was managed by professional CDN. The origin to get to edge process is now moved from push to pull to make the network more efficient. It still was a very, very expensive solution that can't be used by the majority of the players in the market. Third generation CDN, what we call multi-purpose CDN, 2010, 2015. Again, the ability to manage, process, cache, stream any type of content, including video, and also multi-screen, right? So the ability to communicate not just with website and PCs, but also through mobiles and native apps, use of unlimited number of video players, edge caching are pulling from origin in a much smarter way. And that CDN is already starting to become affordable. This is where we started to see the big drop of the gigabyte price, right? Before that, it was a lucrative service, doesn't fit everyone. Since 2010, through the explosion of the internet and the usage of video over the internet and the traffic volume that actually went up substantially, that they gave an opportunity to reduce the price and make that CDN more affordable. We are now at the fourth generation of CDN that we call it intelligent CDN, right? So it carries any type of media, right? Obviously, dynamic static content, but also difficult content like 8K, HDR, VR, AR, different overlays of content on top of the stream. So the ability to manage any type of media, future media at scale across any devices. We started to see the use of machine learning and AI for the caching. One of the major problems or the challenges in CDN is the communication between edge to origin. And through AI and smart caching and predictive analysis of content across region, time of the day, we can then pre-position content at the cache without actually asking for that content in real time from the origin. This is reducing substantially the backbone traffic. Intelligent CDN using low latency, obviously, and low latency is about time to media, but also from transcoding to viewing, right? It's two different type of latencies, and security, right? So as we know, hacking and security has become a critical factor in any network design these days. And not only the ability to secure the network itself through DDoS and WAF, but also securing the content through a variety of techniques such as watermarking, fingerprinting, DRM, et cetera, et cetera. So some of the most important KPIs when we go to choose what's important when selecting a KPI. So we are identifying 5 major topics on this question. The first one is quality of experience, right? So which CDN or which CDN implementation, on net or off net, best fit our specific project requirement. Quality of experience can be a lot of things, such as time to media, click to play media, buffering, stability of the feed, like maintaining the same bitrate and resolution constantly throughout the session. As session times are increasing because of live events and linear events, the idea is to keep that the performance of that stream at the highest quality and not to drop that stream. So there are many quality of experience parameters that are important for CDN selection. Cost is, again, a very, very important factor. The cost, not just for public cloud, let's say the amount of traffic and the price per gigabyte and the overall price we pay per month, but also the cost of the operational staff who needs to maintain the end-to-end overview of the entire workflow, from transcoding to the origin, the CDN, and the playing side, the amount of network resources we need to put in place. And obviously, it depends on the scenario. So there are some would say that above $10,000 a month, it's already justified to build a private CDN. Some would say that it's above $100,000 a month. So it all depends on various factors. There is no silver bullet they can identify exactly where to start. I'm just trying to share with you the variety of consideration to take when selecting private or public CDN. So analytics is critical. So today, most of the OTT projects in the world are not profitable, and they're not profitable obviously because of high cost of content, high cost of operational expenditures, but mainly due to the lack of understanding of user behavior, what content should be recommended to when and where. And analytics, it means not just the network analytics and engineering performance, but also user behavioral analytics, understanding in real time and exactly about behaviors of users, what they like, what they want, and when and where, and taking all this data to a very, very sophisticated platform and try to come up with a smart recommendation of content to help on the business side of these OTT projects. The next item is the security, right? So security has become a very, very critical component of any delivery platform. More and more, we see companies like telcos and also content providers, they want to maintain their content, they want to manage their content, and they don't want to share that content with anyone else, not on a shared disk or a server or even a POP, right? So they first securing the content, making sure the content is managed end to end, get full insights and visibility about content consumption and content trends, and security of the network itself. So data security, content security, and network security, right? So data for analytics, content for the content itself, and the network for all the attacks and the hackers and the type of security that we need to to put in the network, both on the inside infrastructure, but also all the interfaces outside with the appropriate firewalls. And also there is a big discussion around security when selecting CDN today. Another important topic is scalability. Obviously with video, sometimes when live events are happening and they're happening in a very not so often, right? So it can be like within a few days at night when there is a sports game or a news event, those throughput and the network should scale for sometimes 20 times more than the average CDN consumption. So scalability, ability to scale the network from an ongoing consumption of 100,000 users to 10 million users in one instance, take it up within few minutes. This is a critical factor to consider. Obviously, public CDN can do some part of the job here, not all of them. This is why we need to consider multi-CDN orchestrations if we do understand that this is part of the network consumption that we're going to face, and also the ability to build a network that will scale to this peak demand. So usually when working with public CDN, right? So they are ideal for broad geographical audiences, right? So in highly dispersed audiences, let's say if our customers are globally, right, and they are consuming content from remote locations, it's very, very smart to work with those public CDN because they will give us this public global availability. Infrequent scheduling, sometimes that our content is not 24/7, and sometimes it's happening periodically throughout the day. So it makes a lot of sense to work with public CDN. Usually projects, OTT or streaming projects are starting at the early stages of adoption. Usually we start with public CDN, and when we see that the amount of volume and consumption is growing, cost is going up, complexities, and we make a smaller decision to build a private CDN. The issue of scalability, again, any private network will have a certain limitation in terms of overall throughput, right? So if you need higher throughput than that, we can complement that with the public CDN. Organization with lack of operational resources, because to build a private CDN, you need to manage the software, the server, the bandwidth, the hosting location, all the air conditioning, electricity. I mean, there is a lot of operational headaches that needs to be taken into consideration. And some organizations, from financial point of view, when there are CapEx pressured companies, they will go to the SaaS model, to the public CDN, where you pay as you grow on a monthly basis. Something to consider, or where private CDN is ideal for, when geography is concentrated, let's say within a country or within a certain network topology, and it's very, very smart to build a private CDN. Definitely for all the telcos and the ISPs and the network owners, they already have those infrastructure resources, so bandwidth, servers, hosting location, POPs. So it's very smart to build another layer on top of that, layer of virtualization and a layer of CDN, caching and management. Mature service with high number of users, right? As users go up and the uptake is going up, when we forecast for that consumption to go up, it makes a lot of sense to build a private CDN, to manage that cost, and to make it fixed. Projects that are complex, they have live TV, and they also have VOD library, but also non-linear functions like catch-up, time shift, DVR for play and pause events that are happening by the users. More of these sophisticated architecture and implementation will require a more advanced infrastructure, a more advanced network. And this is where we recommend to build a private CDN. Analytics is very, very critical. So most of the CDN, public CDN, they will provide some basic analytics, and some of them with additional price will provide some enhanced network net analytics. But this is mostly what we call performance analytics or CDN analytics that deals with the operational data like throughputs, traffic, buffer time, regions. What is important for and can be achieved with private CDN is the user's analytics, all the behavioral analytics. And together with the network analytics, we can then create a very, very smart decision, and we have a clear understanding of our customers, which will help our marketing develop more smarter marketing campaigns, content packages, and recommendation ideas. Obviously, with private CDN, there is enhanced security. Some of the projects we see are wholesale CDN. So one operator deciding to sell CDN services on a B2B model, and there are many telcos and operators around the world that are doing that. And definitely the private CDN is the right way to go. And for OpEx pressured companies, right, then private CDN is usually can be built on a CapEx, although private CDN like the Vini CDN can be a CapEx engagement business model, but can also be an OpEx. But OpEx pressured companies will definitely want to try the private CDN route. So maybe this is a good time to launch our next poll. Yeah, I think we can wait with it. Okay, sorry, we will continue later. So another important consideration is the third-party CDN orchestration, right? So this is definitely relevant for private versus public, but it can be also implemented as a multiple private CDNs or a multiple private CDN or a multiple public CDN, right? So the idea with third-party real-time orchestration is that after analysis of every user click, right, and that orchestration can be definitely influenced and can be based on switching algorithms that are related to premium versus free video, geolocation, content availability, buffer time, also cost, right? So those engines, orchestration engine, can be managed and influenced. And the idea is that users are clicking, they are hitting an orchestration stage, they'll recreate the manifest on the fly to pull content from the specific CDN that the orchestrator made the decision to pull from, right? So the Vimy CDN orchestrator is a good example. We will get all requests from users. We will do a deep analysis of every user request, and we will then recommend the best CDN. It can be a Vimy CDN or another third-party CDN, whether public or private. It is doing that automatically and in real time. So this is a very critical component of any CDN architecture that you're considering to implement. Low latency CDN is also an important topic. Now, there are various ways to achieve low latency CDN, right? SRT, WebRTC, CMAF, Quick UDP, influencing the chunk size. All of them are great and good technology, and each company is using different methods. The main idea is to understand what is the use case and what is the application. When I'm talking about low latency CDN, I mean the time it takes from the video to reach from the output of the transcoding and packaging to the viewing, right? So we have the time for transcoding, time for packaging, and then how long it takes from the packaging stage for streams to arrive to the viewing devices, right? Today, definitely we can, and there are various methods that depend on the cost. The lower latency that you have, you pay more. So this is one consideration to take, the low latency from transcoding to viewing. The other consideration is about frame accuracy, right? So some of the use cases like betting scenarios, horse races, it requires frame accuracy across all the devices. So some customers would say, okay, I'm willing to compromise on the latency, right? It can be even 3 seconds or 2.5 seconds, but it's very, very important to have a frame accuracy, right? Like the same frame to hit all the devices at the same time, and it needs to be at scale. It can be 10 million devices, right, that are watching the same stream right now. The other scenario that other companies might say, okay, low latency is the most critical. Suppose it's sports event or a football game or whatever, and I need sub 1 second latency, and I don't care about frame accuracy. It can be 10 frame, 20 frames difference. No one really cares, right? So we have to discuss about the actual use case. Vimy is providing low latency CDN as part of our CDN technology on all of these different technologies, and it all depends on the use case. It all depends on the use case and on the specific project that we are about to implement. Okay, so let's do a poll now about the critical factor for launching a private CDN. So what's your most critical factor for preferring a private CDN? Is it cost, quality of experience, security, scalability, analytics? Looking forward for your answer. Got a few more seconds. Great. Again, so we have two winners here, cost and quality of experience. Obviously, reducing cost is a major component, improving the QoE, right? A higher QoE, we can assume higher output, increasing customer satisfaction. And these are clearly the winners here, less on security, less on scalability, less on analytics. So thank you very much for this poll. And we can continue. Another uses of the CDN, and this is something new, definitely towards 5G on the mobile infrastructure, is the ability to deploy CDN on the mobile edge. As you know, all the CDNs, when we talk about CDNs, we talk about CDNs that are managed on the internet service provider, on the public internet, or on a managed network, right? They can work on multicast, for example, but there are no caching, there are no servers at the edge of the mobile infrastructure where the radio access network is physically located. Now toward 5G, and so the ETSI, the European Standard Telecommunications Standard Institute, developed a multi-access edge computing standard that enables third-party application to deploy various applications at the edge of the mobile infrastructure. This obviously requires the availability of servers close to the E-Node Bs. And there are a variety of some of the tier one, I would say, mobile operators are implementing and deploying servers at the edge of the networks before 5G. And what we can see here through this diagram is that we can then start doing caching at the edge of the mobile infrastructure, pulling content from the internet, pulling out and not using the backbone for fetching content. So only one time we can pull out to the internet from the edge, fetching the content, cache it at the edge, and stream it to the end users. So content is served from the edge of the mobile infrastructure. This enables 70 to 90% reduction in mobile backhaul traffic. For some mobile operators, it's really, really critical. Definitely when we serve users in close proximity to their physical location, we are reducing time to media, we can improve the bit rate and resolution, increasing customer satisfaction, we can then increase session time, ARPU, etc., etc. So obviously this is not available on the public CDN alternatives, and when you consider to build a private network, that private network can be extended from your data centers locations or the ISP location to the mobile edge, and definitely Vimy is pioneering that arena. So let's talk a bit about private CDN, right? Data and content security, which is very, very critical aspects. And there are obviously a lot of advantages deploying private CDN for that, from data and security perspective. So obviously on a private network, all the addresses are internal, our own IP addresses. For every interface out to the network, we can implement firewalls. Files upload to the origin, let's say it's a VOD transcoding processes that can be managed through secured FTP. The usage of token can be broadly implemented on every step of the process. For the content itself, right, we can implement watermarking, fingerprinting, and definitely implement DRM architecture. This is something that can be provided by the private CDN developer. Obviously, all the consoles and login can be HTTPS and SSL enabled, and a very, very advanced blocking capabilities like geolocation, time of the day, black, white listed. All this can be definitely implemented on a private network. Another important topic with private CDN is that no one is using that server, right? Or those virtualized layers together with the content provider, right? So on a private CDN, only your content will be managed on the servers and in the network, and this is a substantial advantage from data security and content security perspective. So yeah, one of the another important advantage in terms of building a private CDN, as I said before, is the analytics. Not just the analytics from CDN Analytics, but also user behavior analytics. So the first layer of CDN is what we call CDN Analytics, right? This you get a variety of dashboards that are describing traffic, throughputs, disconnects, buffers, traffic per region. And you can span it over various times and in the history, like last day, 30 days, last year, or whatever. And this is usually something you get from any CDN provider. But when you go to private CDN or to more advanced providers of analytics like Vimy, right, we can then start collecting through an SDK we're implementing on the client side. We can then start collecting events. Right, events can be playing event, stop event, pause event, rewind, every click on the application, every click on the video player. So we have full visibility of every type of event that is happening on the client side. When we have all these events collected, we can then take it to a very, very smart database and start to create audience segmentation. Right, audience segmentation can be can be divided by any unlimited number of ideas, right? So it can be based on genre that we like, packages. For example, people who are finishing their subscription in 30 days, right? So let's create a package for them and retarget them specifically. A segment can be a variety of demographics, right? Age, and also regions, right? Regions, and think about anything that can segment users so we can enable to retarget them most efficiently. Then this is the right way to implement that, and segmenting the audiences in a very, very smart way, which will enable us to start creating marketing campaigns. And those marketing campaigns are built upon a very smart machine learning content recommendation, and very, very specific content will be recommended to very, very specific segment through push notification with segmented push. So not all the audiences will get the same push and recommendation, but it's all segmented, right? And the bottom line of this is we can then measure and retarget after we made analysis on the various KPIs, while our main target is to reduce churn, increase session time on the application, increase output. Achieving all these KPIs is very, very important and can be achieved by user behavior analytics or an SDK on the client side, together with the network analysis, right? Gives us a lot of insights and ability to create a very, very smart retargeting to those specific segmented people. That's a summary of all the items. And we'll go one by one, public CDN versus private CDN. So on the commercial side, usually on a public CDN, right, there is a price per each byte that is streamed through the network. So at the end of the month, there is an accumulation of the amount of terabyte or petabyte, and there is a price, actual price that that needs to be paid based on the actual volumes. On the private CDN, it's all based on the throughput of the network. So we don't care about the number of, we don't care about the traffic volumes. All we care is the overall network throughput. And in any of calculation that we do, we see at least 30 to 50% cost reduction in the overall TCO of the project. And it can be a monthly throughput payment, or it can be a perpetual license, or any type of one-time CapEx cost. So there is a real difference between traffic payments and throughput payments that are substantial cost reductions. In terms of time to media, for many research that we see around the world, time to media is between 3 to 11 seconds from the time that you click on the player, on the thumbnail, until you get the actual video. In the private CDN scenario, Vimy can guarantee 1 second due to the unique technology of the smart CDN orchestration, the analysis of every user request, the session management, the usage of machine learning. So we can guarantee 1 second time to media, which is something that no one can guarantee in terms of if he is a public CDN provider. Obviously, in the public CDN, servers are shared by many customers. And here on the private CDN is a dedicated platform, not just the server and the operational system of the servers, but the data and the content is fully managed, and you get full ownership of it. Public CDN is all about unicast, obviously, because it's using the internet, right? HTTP based. And on the private CDN, we can implement unicast and multicast scenarios in combination, right? We can start multicast and move to unicast at the edge, and vice versa. And if it's a private managed network, we can definitely implement multicast or even UDP until the CPE side. Network security, public CDN are mostly dealing with the network security itself. So the servers, the infrastructure, all the interfaces, the public interface and the private, the use of DDoS, firewalls. But on the private CDN, we can take it to a higher level, not just network, but also can be responsible for the content security with the implementation of watermarking, fingerprinting, and DRM on the content itself. For public CDN, usually it's a single CDN solution without no automatic load balancing for other CDN. Obviously, there are other tools independent tool to manage all CDN orchestration, but on the private CDN alternative, we can implement a multi-CDN architecture with a Vimy CDN orchestrator, and it can manage the Vimy private CDN and the public CDN concurrently, and we have a lot of reference where we are implementing such a process. Public CDN, we're providing CDN analytics, performance analytics. On the private CDN, we can grow to user behavioral analytics, CDN analytics, audience segmentation, push notification, all these important ideas as we shared before to enable increasing profitability of the OTT project. On the public CDN, the deployment is usually on the ISP, on the ISP or managed network. But for private CDN, it can be also implemented on the mobile edge, right, on a managed network that is fully managed by the telco or by the operator, and the amount of deployment and the hybrid models, and there is no limitation. About the Vimy CDN technology, and I think that I shared before, it uses a very smart machine learning for caching, pre-positioning content before consumption has occurred in order to reduce the backbone load at real time, at peak, implementing intelligent decision-making, so ability to analyze every request for video. What type of content has been requested, from which device, what is the network congestion status, and then the ability to take a very, very small decision on every user click, not just redirecting the request to the origin, move it to cache, but stop for like 10 milliseconds, take a very small decision and redirect it exactly to the cache. So the Vimy CDN has a full visibility on the content that is available on the cache. We are using the origin less and less, and the idea is to redirect directly to the cache without implementing, without redirecting to the origin. The grid computing is a network of servers that are communicating with one another, updating the status of the hardware, the software, in order to take a smarter decision on that orchestration level. We talked about the CDN orchestration for third party, the implementation of low latency CDN, and the ability to implement CDN also on the mobile networks, which will enable improved performance and reduce cost when people are consuming from 4G, for example, from LTE. Maybe this is the time just to launch our last poll. Last poll is about low latency. So how low latency video is important for your business? Wow, see, the majority of the people say yes. So low latency is very, very important. So thank you very much for your answers. So this is just a general overview about the Vimy. Overall, we consider ourselves as helping OTT providers monetize their content better through very, very advanced technology. And we are active in all those 5 critical blocks of the OTT platform, starting from the content preparation, loaded transcoding, nonlinear function, catch-up, advertising, the monetization part with all the backend tools for content management, for user management, BSS OSS integration for billing, CDN for streaming technology. We focus on-premise private CDN, can be also global cloud, but private CDN. This is where we focus. On the consumption side, we have a full array of video application across mobile, web, set-top boxes, Apple TV, smart TVs. So we today support the entire range of connected devices out there with a Vimy dedicated video application. And the 5th element, which is the analytics and the recommendation, not just the network analytics and CDN analytics, but user behavior analytics, marketing campaigns for audience segmentation, and advanced recommendation. So thank you very much. This was my last slide. Let's see. I think we have some. Yes. So there is a question here about ads in video. So yeah, definitely ads are implemented in the video, and it depends if it's VOD or live or linear channel, right? For VOD, it's usually a process that is managed by the video player side, not so related to CDN, right? So whether it's a pre-roll, mid-roll, or post-roll, the video player on the waterfall on a pre-roll will first go to the ad engine to pull recommended ads. Sorry. Once that ad is finished, and it will redirect the request to the CDN manifest to pull streams, stream it to end users, and the same goes for mid-roll and post-roll. On the linear channel, right? The idea is for all of us to watch the same movie, the same channel, but get different ads, right, on that specific slot. And this is usually happening through implementing few types of advertising and manipulating the manifest on the server side to specific users. And again, it's not something which is purely related to CDN. This is why I didn't cover that on that private versus public CDN topic, because it's mostly related to the preparation side, service side implementation, or the player side. So I hope I answered the question. If you have any other question, please, this is the time. I'll be happy to answer. So, okay, thank you very much for spending time with us. For any question, you can contact me directly, eitan@vimi.net, or find us on social media, on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. We promise to send you a recording of this webinar, and hope to see you on the next webinar as well. So thank you very much. See you soon, and bye-bye.